I've played quite a bit of Sonic Unleashed in my time, considering it is my favorite Sonic game and all. So after playing through every level in the game, both daytime and nighttime, my only logical conclusion was to rank every level from Sonic Unleashed. I'll be using the standard tier list rules here, ranking from S to D, cause no level in this game is F tier. I'm only going to go over the actual main stages themselves, so no DLC or extra acts, or else we'd be here forever. And of course this tier list will be entirely my own opinion. If you want to make your own tier list, I've got this exact same one linked down in the description as always. But enough intro yapping, I want to rank these Sonic Unleashed levels. To start us off, we've got Windmill Isle Act 1, which is essentially the game's tutorial level. I'm going to toss this one into the C tier, because while the level may look gorgeous, the gameplay is nothing special. They really wanted you to get the hang of the boost here, so this level is pretty much a couple of straight lines with some tutorials scattered in. And it's also super short, not even lasting a minute if you're going quick. Whenever I'm loading up Unleashed to replay some levels, I almost never choose this one, cause in a game full of peak, it's just kinda there doing its own thing. Which it's good at, but it's still just a C tier level in my eyes. Next up is the first real level of the game, Windmill Isle Act 2. This level is extremely iconic, from the music, to the way it looks, to the way it plays. Everything about it is recognizable to any Sonic fan. It's still only the first true level of the game, so it isn't super difficult, at least not by Unleashed standards, so I'm gonna put it into the A tier, since it's an awesome level, just not one of my absolute favorites in the entire game. Still a super iconic level, the music alone from Windmill Isle Day is used all the time in YouTube videos, so even if you've never played Unleashed, you've probably heard this song before. Apodos is based on Mykonos in real life, I hope I said that right, which you can easily tell based on the way the level looks, and that only adds to the instant recognizability of this level. The windmills everywhere, the white and blue colors, the islands in deep blue water, all of which Sonic sees while running through the Windmill Isle, really adds to why I like this level as much as I do. Moving on to Windmill Isle Night, I think I'll put this one into the B tier. It's the first Werehog stage in the game, and you can definitely tell because it isn't very difficult. There's not much platforming, and what platforming there is usually has some sort of safety net. The enemies are really basic and have almost no health, which makes sense, again it's the first Werehog level, but that makes replaying this level in particular kinda boring, since you're pretty much just charging through and defeating everything in one hit, and there's not much in terms of puzzles or platforming or enemies to stop you in your path. Now, that would be a good thing if this was a daytime stage, but for nighttime stages, you want some challenge in enemies so that they don't get too boring. This level is good on the first playthrough, but anytime after that, it's just too easy. Definitely a B tier Werehog level. Savannah Citadel Day is up next, and I think this one is going to go right alongside Windmill Isle Act 2 in the A tier. I really enjoy playing through this level, although there's a bit too much 2D for my liking to really make it an S tier level. The 2D in here is pretty good though, some of it can be a bit finicky like the pole swinging, but that's just Unleashed for you. There isn't too much time spent in 3D in this level unfortunately, as most of the 3D is either lane switching down a hallway or an introduction to drifting, but the set pieces in this level really make up for it. Missouri is based on Africa, and the buildings, wildlife, and surrounding culture definitely make that known to you, with things like giraffes often being seen through the drifting sections. Overall though, still a super fun level to replay, making it an easy A tier level. Savannah Citadel Night unfortunately suffers a lot of the same issues that Windmill Isle does, which is that it's super easy with a decently leveled up Werehog. I do think I'd prefer to run Savannah Citadel Night over Windmill Isle Night, but only by a tiny bit, so it's not enough to move it out of the B tier for me. The puzzles and platforming in this level do begin to start taking shape, but it still has the early Werehog level problem, keeping it in the B tier. Now onto our first S tier level, which is Rooftop Run Day, because of course it's an S tier. It's Rooftop Run. If you've ever played Unleashed, you know how good this level is. It was iconic enough to be chosen to represent Unleashed as a whole in Sonic Generations, so that alone should tell you how good this level is. It has everything you could want in a 3D Sonic Boost level, with good reaction-based platforming, awesome set pieces, really fast-paced moments, tons of actual level to run through, and is still pretty challenging. Spagonia is based on places like Spain and Italy, and the rooftops that you're running on definitely make that easily known. But even just running around the ground and the other various set pieces let you know that you're somewhere in Western Europe, most likely Italy. So Rooftop Run Day is our first, very deserved S tier. And you know what? While we're at it, I'm putting Rooftop Run Night in S tier too. I absolutely love this nighttime level, probably my favorite in the whole game. It does still kind of suffer from being an early Werehog level like the previous two, but this time it starts to incorporate more enemy variety into the level, which helps to mix it up a bit when you're used to one-shotting everything. In the nighttime level, you're not only running on rooftops, but also through the streets of Spagonia, and oh man is there a ton to explore. Somehow, I even managed to get myself stuck in this wall. That was unintentional. But seriously, you can explore all of these ground level shops, climb up the roofs, get barrels to knock open doors containing big bosses, and of course, that clock tower climb. Oh, I love that clock tower climb. If it's your very first time playing Sonic Unleashed, you probably hated the clock tower climb, but once you get comfortable with the Werehog's movement, this clock tower climb is such a blast to run through as quickly as possible. It almost makes me feel like I'm running through a Roblox obby, which is genuinely one of the best compliments I could give it, I'm being serious. But for a Werehog level that has so much to explore, so much to play through, and so much style, it's definitely going into the S tier. Cool Edge Day is our next level, and I think I'm gonna put this one into the B tier. Now, while I do enjoy Cool Edge as much as the next guy, I can't help but feel like a lot of this level is wasted on random gimmicks, in between some super cool moments. The ice physics could have made for such a fun gameplay gimmick for Sonic, like running through these half pipes, but instead of actually letting you run through most of them as Sonic, you're instead in this bobsled thing, which just isn't very fun to control. It's kinda like the snowboarding section of Ice Cap in Sonic Adventure, although I think it's at least done better there since there's an active avalanche chasing you down the mountain, but here you're just bobsledding down these pipes instead of actually getting to run through them. It's unfortunate too, because outside of that, I think Cool Edge Day is a really cool level. You get to run on water, run on this whale, stomp through the ice, and just generally have a good time, but it gets bogged down by unnecessary gameplay gimmicks. Cool Edge is of course based on the Arctic and Alaska since, well, that's pretty obvious. And the level itself does look very pretty. It's got white and blue similar to Apodos, but of course, it's all ice and snow this time, alongside the water. Now for the nighttime variant, which I'll put right alongside the daytime stage. Cool Edge Night is once again a very cool level, probably even more so than the daytime stage in my opinion, because the vibes here are unlike any other level. The music here is incredible, and the lighting and look of the level itself is just so good. The enemies here can be a bit annoying, since you'll be dealing with these guys that can freeze you or set you on fire, and the ending seems like it should have a big boss fight, but there's nothing there besides a few of the same old that you're used to, well, that and some wizards, and yet no boss. The actual level itself is a bit monotonous, since you'll often need to stop and backtrack to grab either a key crystal or a flame guy, and the platforming outside of the cave sections isn't anything special, which is why this level is staying in the B tier. But don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed this level. Dragon Road Day is a very weird level for me, because it has platforming sections that I genuinely dislike and don't find fun at all, but like everything else outside of that is peak Sonic Unleashed gameplay for me. I'm putting this one in A tier, because while I do still have issues with it, they aren't as big as something like Cool Edge Days, and the highs of this level absolutely make up for the lows. Chunnan is of course based on China, and you start off this level by running on a Great Wall that is totally not the Great Wall of China, but definitely is. The mountains and fog surrounding you go really well with the wooden dragons in the level, since you feel like you're actually in dragon territory, which you pretty much are since the level is called Dragon Road. There's also just a ton of alternate routes to take in this level, which there are in other levels too, but in this one specifically, they feel super flashy and fun to pull off. Dragon Road Night is very similar to Cool Edge Night for me, so I'm gonna put it in the B tier right next to it, but I think it does do some things better, and some things worse. What it does better than Cool Edge Night is the enemies. Here they don't seem to let up at all and can pose a real threat to you, especially on your first playthrough. There's a specific room which kinda acts like a preview of the trap in JakeCenZ Night, where you battle a ton of enemies for a few minutes and they take forever to stop spawning. But I think it's done a lot better here because the enemies themselves are actually fun to fight and not annoying. The platforming in this level is very similar to Cool Edge Night, where you're running along the water for the most part, but I think it's kinda worse since you need to stop on these bigger platforms and launch yourself into the air, and then fight more enemies afterwards. Overall, the scope of the level just doesn't feel very big, kinda like Jungle Joyride Night, which we'll get to, but without most of the visual flair and actual platforming challenge. Not a bad level, but still B tier for sure. Next up is yet another B tier level, JakeCenZ Day. This level for me is just a lot all at once. You really can't find too much enjoyment on this one outside of mastering the level. The level will punish you for every single mistake you make, whether that's failing to jump at the exact right moment to get on the top path skip, or slamming straight into walls while tons of obstacles are in your way, or having pillars slam into you if you don't time this segment perfectly. I'm sure this level is a lot of fun once you get it mastered and have perfected every single section, but for me, I really like when levels let you go with the flow, especially if you do end up making a mistake, or even just taking the main path really. But in JakeCenZ Day, you have to make sure you're taking the top path, or else you're being put on the so-called punishment paths. Yes, I have watched Ajax. Love his level analysis videos. The level does look cool visually, with Shamar being based on places like Petra and Jordan, so there's a lot of cool visuals and set pieces to run through here, but that won't save it from being a B tier level in my eyes. Oh boy, our first D tier level on the list, JakeCenZ Night. This level is just kind of really boring to me. It's less of a level and more of a battle arena, since all you do in this level is walk down a few wide hallways and battle tons of enemies along the way. I'm sure this could have been a fun level, if not for these stupid fire wizards. Seriously, these things suck. The targeting for the water barrels is always so precise, and plus it's just annoying to have to hit them with it in the first place before you can start attacking, well, unless you want to catch on fire. But those, alongside every other enemy getting in your way here, just make this level kind of a slog to go through. Your way forward is constantly getting blocked off, meaning you need to fight or you aren't getting past. And then at the very end of the city segment, you better not walk up those stairs, or you'll be in for a painful time, as you'll be trapped fighting waves and waves of enemies for a very long time. Maybe this level is fun if you really like the werehog combat in Unleashed, and I mean really love it, cause the enemies themselves are the annoying ones to fight, and I do like the werehog's combat a lot, but not enough to want an entire level of straight lines where you battle through a gauntlet of fire wizards. Once you finally make it out of the city portion, all you need to do is some traversal, fight a boss, and then the level's over. So yeah, D tier level. And time for some tier list whiplash. Skyscraper Scamper Day. I think you all should know where I'm putting this one. S tier for a skyscraping level. I made a whole short on this specific level, so I won't restate what I already said, but I love this level, and it's one of my favorites to speedrun in Unleashed. It's honestly what got me back into Unleashed a while ago, since I had never gotten past Dragon Road as a kid, so I never knew how good of a level this was when I replayed the game to actually try and beat it, after it became backwards compatible on the Xbox One. I really love how this level looks, taking a pretty generic and already used Sonic City aesthetic, but still making it feel really unique and grand, being based on New York City. Something about the way the tunnels and roads look, along with the buildings, just really makes me like this level a lot, and so for that, I'm putting it into the S tier. As for its nighttime stage, well, it's complicated. Skyscraper Scamper Night is really fun to speedrun once you get the werehog's movement down, but playing through this level normally is a bit tedious, since you need to be super careful not to fall off or get hit by enemies. But what really makes me not like this level are the two giant bosses that will easily knock you off the map if you get hit by the shockwaves they make. Seriously, who thought it was a good idea to put two of the enemies that have the big knockback attacks on a level where you're extremely high up and can fall off super easily? Like, yeah, I guess that's part of the challenge, but it's not a very fun challenge when you're essentially getting one shot if you get hit at all by these guys. So I'm putting Skyscraper Scamper Night into the C tier. If you know what you're doing, I actually would say this level isn't all too bad, but those boss enemies really make it tough for me to like this level. But let's move back to good levels again with Jungle Joyride Day, another super easy S tier level. Skyscraper Scamper and Jungle Joyride Day are both very similar to me in that they're levels that I never played as a kid and they're at the very end of the game, but they're also just super fun to try and run through as quickly as possible. Jungle Joyride has a ton of different pathways, all the way up until the last section, and exploring all of those was really fun when I was trying to beat this level as fast as I could. It's just one of those levels you can't help but want to try again, and see if you could do it faster. It's got really addicting level design. Adabat pulls its visuals from places like Oceania and Southeast Asian countries, with bright blue water, old temples, and of course that dense jungle. The visuals of Unleashed are almost universally beautiful, but this level in particular just looks so good, with the water running sections being some of my favorites in the entire game. Jungle Joyride Night is another one of those levels that I find to be similar to Coolidge Night and Dragon Road Night. However, I find this one more tolerable than those two, and I think it balances the enemy density, platforming, and puzzles all a lot better. I'm putting this one into the A tier, since it's another one of my favorite nighttime stages to run through, with plenty of little secrets to find, some amazing visuals once again, especially with that skybox, and I really like the room at the end with the boss. I don't know why, it's just a really cool cave that almost gives me SA1 vibes. Again, I cannot explain why that is, but it just feels that way to me. Also, this is one of my favorite nighttime tracks in the entire game. It's so good. Here, take a listen. A tier level for the music alone. And finally, the last level on this tier list, Eggman Land. Now if you know me, you'll know that I actually think Eggman Land is a pretty good level, but just how good? I will not elaborate. Okay, yes, I will elaborate. Eggman Land is the final level in Unleashed, so it's naturally a very difficult level, too difficult for most people, but man, I love how hard this level can be at times. I've played this level so many times that I've routed my most favorite and optimal routes to take, and I can beat this level pretty quick. I think 15 minutes was one of my fastest times, but I could probably take it down even more if I practiced it. I know some people may not like switching back and forth between normal and Werehog Sonic, but since I love both gameplay styles, I find switching between them to be a fun gimmick for the final level of the game. The Werehog segments are no easy fight, with multiple strong enemies blocking your path, and some pretty tough platforming sections towards the middle. This is the only one in the whole level I'd say I dislike, since you cannot see where you're landing without a ground shadow from the Werehog. And this level really tests your knowledge of the Werehog skill set, with the very final room having two of those big stomper boss enemies that you probably will not be able to kill unless you manage to QTE them. Now if you think the Werehog sections are difficult, oh man, the boost segments are almost even tougher, and that's probably where you'll lose most of your lives on this level. There's a lot of bottomless pits here, which can be frustrating, and I'm being kinda hypocritical here since I said I don't like those cheap shots in Arid Sands, but I don't know, they feel warranted here considering you're storming the literal Eggman land as Sonic the Hedgehog. Like for the first time we've ever actually gotten to see this place in a Sonic game, it absolutely lives up to the hype. This place is dastardly, and it definitely looks the part too, with red skies, Eggman iconography all over the place. I mean seriously, come on. They even bring back the bobsled section from Cool Edge, and it's actually good now. It has way more engaging challenge, and also doesn't last for very long. But once you make it past the outside as Boost Sonic, the inside sections won't be any easier for you, with tons of spikes, saws, and lava for you to fall into. I could probably make an entire video on Eggman Land, but I'll wrap it up here for this one, since I think I've gotten my point across. For the Eggman Land to actually have been as awesome as it is, I think it deserves an S, and if you disagree, then you're just bad. Okay, that was mean, I didn't mean it, I just really like this level, okay? So here's the final tier list. I think a lot of this tier list probably went how you expected, with the obvious standouts like Rooftop Run Day and Skyscraper Scamper Night being pretty universally agreed upon placements, but I also think a lot of placements probably shook things up since I actually do really enjoy the Werehog levels in this game. So I put a few of them on par with the boost levels, or even better than some, like in the case of Rooftop Run and Jungle Joyride. And then obviously Eggman Land. I know people hate that level, but what can I say? I like it. If you disagree though, post some of your tier list changes down in the comments. And if you want to make an entire tier list using this one, I'll have it linked down in the description for you to use. Thanks for watching the video, don't forget to drop a like, and of course hit the subscribe button and the bell for future Sonic videos. And I'll see you next time.
We've all gotta start.